fanatic, so he's
Nice.
cool like that. Yeah, I always like talking sports with him, and he's very opinionated with his sports too, which is great. I mean, that's what makes sports fun is talking about it.
Did you hit record? So we're good to go.
Here? I didn't. Yeah, I just did on the thing.
Just making sure, sick boy.
Just gonna make a quick Yankees comment. Not gonna let you go crazy, but quick Yankees comment, and then I have 76s.
Yep, that's it.
All right, let me mute my phone so that doesn't go.
I think next week. Hold on a second.
Next week, what?
Do you want to do college shit next week or the week after?
Well, next week, first of all, I absolutely have to do it on Thursday.
I can do it next Thursday. We're good next Thursday.
Okay, yeah, just because the Atlantic City Air Show down here is on Wednesday, and I'm definitely taking the kids to that. It doesn't matter to me.
All right.
You want to make next week like almost like an exclusively college football?
I was thinking that
episode.
Actually. Yeah, because it will be done with the pro. Yeah,
just college football.
Yeah, maybe we'll do that. We'll hit some hard knocks again and something. And, all right.
I mean, we can do only hard knocks as far as NFL goes, unless of course something big happens.
Yeah. Yeah, and then we'll hit Camp Buzz or something like that, and then we'll go on to college or something.
But we'll do a college special episode.
All right, that works for me.
All right. Oh boy, do we have a big podcast today. What's up, everybody, and welcome to Bump and Run. I'm Pete Coliseum, joined as always by my good friend Scott Bracey. What's going on, dude?
Good afternoon, sir, on this rainy, cloudy Wednesday afternoon.
Now, it's not as rainy down here, I'll be honest with you. It hasn't rained here yet, but it was getting cloudy. I'm literally right on the water in Atlantic City now, so like a lot of times you can see storms that are like less than a mile inland, but because the wind is coming off the ocean, it pushes the storm just enough inland that we don't get hit a lot. It's a fascinating thing to watch. It really is. It's a really weird thing to watch. So anyway, so we're dry right now, but we're supposed to possibly get some thunderstorms too. I have some trepidations about today's episode because I get a feeling you may have a little something to say that I'm not going to particularly like.
Never. I never like making fun of you.
As usual, we like to get deaths and bad news out of the way first. So let's talk Jets. Practically a death.
Somebody play taps.
I have to tell you, man. I was texting you during the Jets preseason opener against Philadelphia Eagles, and perhaps I was a little over the top. Perhaps I took things a little too hard. Perhaps the word fanatic might fit me a little more than some others. But on the other hand, I feel like Rodney Dangerfield as a Jets fan. It's just a hard life. It's just a really hard life. So last week before the preseason game, Mekhi Becton shreds his kneecap, whatever the hell, and he's out. It's like, okay, well, we can fix that. Like, we can get Dwayne Brown, which they did. He's not the same guy he used to be, but hey, we'll be okay. I can't even say it out loud. You say what happened during the game.
So for those who don't know, Pete's lover boy quarterback, New York Jet, Zach Wilson, midway through the first quarter, was rolling right, decides
second drive,
tuck it and run, and makes a little juke, a little wiggle, and goes down.
It's a nice move.
Torn meniscus and a bone bruise. But if you talked to Pete Calisano last Thursday evening, as I did, you thought he got gunned down from a upper deck rifle shot. He was very dramatic, very emotional.
I wasn't going to do the podcast anymore.
He was quitting the podcast. He was quitting life. He was very troubled last week. But I like to pat myself on the back here as well.
Oh, really?
Because I think 3 hours before that Zach Wilson gunned down shot, I said to Mr. Calisano, I would calm down with the Jets love here a little bit. Put it back in your pants. Wipe yourself off. Because it never goes as much as you think it does. And voila. Down goes Frazier.
Frazier.
Well, I like to say you look better and sound better than you did a week ago.
Well, the good news is it was partially torn. They cleaned it up. They went in and cleaned it up yesterday. 2 to 4 weeks. My guess is it'll be closer to 4 or 5. Why rush them back? The problem is there's a couple things. First of all, the game itself, Eagles get the ball and they, it's a preseason game, so you don't want to make too much out of these things, right? But you can take something out of it. And the Eagles get the ball and they just like hot knife through butter. So this is even before the Zach attack. They just a hot knife through butter to just go walk right down the field and score a touchdown. And it just was unsettling. I'm trying to.
It was a combination of things. I think that got you stirred up. And obviously, like, your quarterback goes down, you're going to be emotional about it. I understand that. It's just fun to make fun of you because you were in rare form that night.
Well, that's my point. That was more the final straw of that night as opposed to I was solely reacting to that. I watched guys have like bad penalties. I watched Zach Wilson throw an interception before he did that, which was fantastic. That was
an ugly interception too.
It was awful. It was awful. And the funny thing is, if he doesn't throw that interception, he's probably not even in the game in the next series and he doesn't get hurt. But you can't let your second-year quarterback come out of a game after his last play being an interception, so you have to put him back in. And you put him back in and he gets hurt. It's like, you son of a bitch. The poor defensive play, it was not good. It was not a good day. And I say this all the time. Preseason doesn't mean anything to the top half of the NFL, but preseason means a lot to the Jets, the Lions, the Jaguars,
Texans, the Bears,
the Texans, like, because you're trying to build a culture, you're trying to build some momentum, and losing doesn't build momentum. And we'll talk about this in our next segment when we talk about Hard Knocks, like what matters and what doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, and who it matters to. So.
Can I ask you a question?
It was more than just Zach Wilson, but the Zach Wilson injury was like, It was like, here, this sucks.
It was the final atomic bomb.
And this sucks. And here, I'm going to stick this in your arsehole. Like, if you were comfortable with everything else that happened here, I'm going to totally stretch your balls down to your knees. Like, does that feel good? Like, how's that feel? So, and it becomes super frustrating. And that's where it's like, you get excited for your team. You pick up Russell Wilson on the Denver Broncos, and it's like, you're excited. It's exciting. And you're like, this is the one thing we were missing. And geez, the Jets make all these moves and all these draft picks, and it's exciting. It's exciting. And then the one thing that can't happen happens. And now I know people are like, well, he's not even, our friend Mike Cohen, who the sports, oh, Jesus Christ. He's been a guest on our show, Mike Cohen. He wrote a post saying, hey, it's not like Zach Wilson was Tom Brady or something like that. And he's right. So, like, it's not literally the end of the world, but he is your young starter. He is one of the things about the Jets that you're excited about. Like, you and I get excited about offensive line, but like most people, it's like quarterbacks, running backs, wide receivers. Maybe if you have like a really high-end defensive end or like a total shutdown corner. Like, that's who most people know.
Right.
So, like, if you're Eddie Desane and you lose Lamar Jackson last year, it's a shoulder dropper. You know what I mean? Like, you go into salvation mode where it's like, shit, now what do we do? So that's why. Like, it doesn't mean, well, with Zach Wilson, we were going to Super Bowl, and without him, we're going to suck. No, Joe Flacco, who will do just fine, is not the future of the Jets. He's not the man for the Jets. You're hoping to find out that Zach Wilson is. We don't know if he was, but you're hoping. And hope is what every football fan comes into the season with. And now we're going to lose 2 or 3 weeks of practices with some new receivers and young players. And it's just disheartening. And it really was upsetting. I'll be honest with you. It was upsetting. Like, here we go again.
Obvious answer coming, but I have to ask the question. Him missing these final weeks of the preseason and more time, does it worry you?
Yes.
With development?
Yes.
Does it have a lot of Sam Darnold to it? He missed year 2 or beginning because of the mono, and now he's missing.
I'm not going to compare it to that because we have more answers about Sam Darnold now, right? We kind of know who he is now. I'm just going to say it sucks because you were starting to see like a rapport between him and Conklin, the tight end, who had a fantastic game and has had a great camp. He has looked more like the number one tight end for the Jets than Uzoma. It looked like Wilson was developing a rapport with Garrett Wilson, which is exactly what you want. He looked like he was building a rapport with Elijah Moore, which is exactly what you want. And now for 3 or 4 weeks, they don't get to work together. And it just sucks. You know, if it's Tom Brady and he takes 3, 4, or 5 weeks off, it doesn't matter. Now, Tom Brady, first or second year, that would have mattered. Make no mistake, Tom Brady wasn't lighting it up in his first and second year. That was a defensive team. So it's the timing of it. You know what I'm saying? It's almost worse now than it would have been if it happened like week 3. And you lose them for those 3 weeks.
I concur
4
with
weeks.
That. Yep.
So that's why. It's just disheartening. It's almost like it almost creates an air of, oh, well, you know, once the season starts, if he's not doing great, don't forget he missed 4 weeks during preseason and he didn't get to work with his foot. And it's like, I don't want to go through that shit again.
Yep.
You know, I'm tired of waiting. I'm just tired of waiting.
One more question, then we'll move on.
Yeah.
Do you want to see Flacco or Mike White?
Definitely Flacco.
Okay.
Listen, I still have high hopes for this team. I think they're a 7-8 win team. And I think Flacco, you know, is a pro. He's a pro's pro. The one thing about Joe Flacco is he needs a solid pocket. And the one thing, maybe more than anything else, that the Jets did in the offseason was they developed the offensive line. So I think he actually did pretty darn well last year as Jets starting quarterback. There was a lot of really good things. And now if you give him an even better offensive line and a better running game so he can go play action pass, I think he'll actually do pretty well. But he's not the future for the Jets. Right. That's the problem. You know what I mean? Like, so I care and I'll root for him and I'll root for them to win. But it doesn't do anything moving forward for me. That's all.
And it just hurts morale. That's the bottom line.
It definitely hurts morale, at least for fans. You know, listen, what's funny is Garrett Wilson came out and said, you know, to be honest with you, you know, Joe Flacco throws a really catchable ball. He knows how to take a little off, put a little on. He just knows how to make it a little more catchable. And it sounded like he was saying is Zach Wilson doesn't know how to do that. He puts everything with mustard on it, which I don't know that that's true, but regardless, he said it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, maybe the players aren't so upset. You know, that
that's you don't want to hear that either, coach.
Never a good sign. That's never a good sign.
Oh boy.
There's that for sure. But regardless, you need to know, like you're San Francisco, you're Jacksonville, you're Chicago, you're Houston. You need to know if your young guy is the guy. And when things happen that delay that progress and delay that information, if nothing else, just the information of finding out whether, you know, you bring up Sam Darnold. The problem that Jets fans and that front office had with Sam Darnold is, number one, the team stunk. And number two, he was hurt a lot because the team stunk. So we weren't getting a full evaluation. And I don't want to be in that position again to where we're going to say, well, it was hard to evaluate Zach this year because he missed 3 weeks of camp.
Yep.
Or 4 weeks of camp. Like, it just sucks. It sucks. I'm just tired of it. I'm genuinely tired of it.
Yeah.
So that's what you heard on Thursday, or what you read from my text on Thursday, was just exasperation. You know, it's just exasperation. Where you're just like, here we go again. And you know, it's here we go again cubed. Like I've said, here we go again more years than you've been alive on this planet. Like you're what, 36 now, 35, 36?
37.
Yeah, I've said it more than that, more years. So, as usual, it's usually till September. This year it's in August. I'm looking forward to the draft. So we'll see. Yeah, I already had them picking the quarterback from Ohio State to replace Zach Wilson because he's soft. Give me, who's the kid over there? Is that C.J. Stroud or?
Yeah. And then what did I say?
Hold on, how many good Ohio State quarterbacks are out there? You got to ruin everything. Anyway, let's move on.
You watched episode 1 and 2 of Hard Knocks, but I have not watched episode 1 and 2.
And I did it because you actually genuinely, and I mean this sincerely, like you convinced me. Like you made me feel like you're going to enjoy it, Pete. So I was like, you know what? Screw it. Let me check it out. And I'm not sure. I do like it. So I'm in. But I'm not sure if I'm in because I like the show or if I'm in because I freaking love goddamn Dan Campbell.
Isn't he the best, dude?
He is awesome. I love even the like competitive nature between coaches, like offensive, defensive coaches.
Yeah.
That you brought up the fact that you got all these former players, and it's really hard and successful players at that. There was a stretch of time where Aaron Gunn,
Yeah.
right, yeah, was like best cornerback in the league. Now the Jets still stunk, but he was like the number one cornerback in the league for a couple of years there, 2-3 years maybe. So you look around and you're like, Jesus Christ, there's some talent, and there, you know what it is? It's gravitas. Because where else would gravitas come from? There's the Patriot way. Now, yes, that's Belichick, but at some point during those years with Brady, it became the uniform. Like it wasn't. It's like if you're going to be a Patriot and you're going to wear this uniform, this is how we do things.
Right.
Detroit doesn't have that. They have no as an organization. They have no gravitas. But you have all these guys,
and they take it seriously, man. They're
oh my God, what was
they're getting after?
They got I think they said they have 82 years of playing experience on their coaching staff. Yeah. Like, wow. I think that holds a lot of weight with the players. That doesn't mean they're great coaches. So let's make no mistake. It doesn't mean they're great coaches, but it holds a lot of weight with the players, which causes them to buy in. And that's, if there's anything I've noticed in the first 2 episodes, is that there's like this high level of buy-in by the players. I mean, that one scene where
with
they end
practice. Williams, the running back.
Oh my God, he's fucking in tears, dude, because he's feeling so passionate about what he's saying. And God damn, I wanted to like go grab a football and 10 guys and like go practice or go play some football. Like when I saw that, I'm like, you don't get that in the NBA. You don't get that in baseball. You don't get that in like maybe get in hockey. I'm not sure. I don't think so. Like they're a lot more
hockey. You play hockey, you do.
But that's a football practice. That's a preseason football practice. Like it's just different. So I'm not sure if it's the Lions. I'm not sure if it's the Lions and Dan Campbell that I'm.
It's a perfect storm, bro. That's what makes it so good.
It was a good year for me to jump on board. That's for sure. So,
did you like Hutch's Billie Jean?
Okay, so this is where I got a problem. So I'm watching like a streaming recorded version, so I'm not watching it live on HBO. And he did one,
and then the linebacker from
Rodrigo.
Yeah, from Nebraska or something.
Yeah, I had to fast forward. It's so cringy. I couldn't do it. I watched Hutch and then I had to fast forward because so here's why. You have to understand. So I played college football as a quarterback, and my first year down in North Carolina, I had to do that. Now I didn't have to do it solo. I was part of a group.
Yeah.
But I messed up like he did. So we did like some Boys to Men song, and like there was 3 or 4 other guys, and then I came out and I was supposed to do my part, and I started doing my part before the guy actually started singing. So it was exactly the same thing. Like he messed up and had to start over. Yeah. It was even worse for him because he had no music. He was just like his own beatbox. And then
he saved it though. He
did. And what was cool was the teammates all jumped in and sang the song with him, Billie Jean. So, but then the next one, I'm like, I just can't. And I fast forward it. I can't. It's just so I have to look away. I don't want to see it. It's so hard.
Flashbacks.
It's so hard to watch. But it's cool. I'm enjoying it. You didn't see the second episode yet, so
I'm gonna try to sneak it in tonight. We'll wait for next week. I'll definitely watch the next 2.
I love the intensity, and I think we're gonna start getting into the hard parts about when like players have to get cut and how you make moves and stuff like that. And you could just see the passion but yet also the professional business side of it. It's pretty cool. Now we know that these guys are, giving it a little something because they know they're mic'd up. But at the same time, some of it you can tell when it's raw and when it's real. So
it's the part I like too is like when Hotch like name, school, and signing bonus, and then when he said 23 million, they're like, oh, like that.
That was funny. I was like, Jesus Christ, they made him say that. Jeez, Louise. So yeah, I'm enjoying it, and
good. I'm glad you tuned in.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. I'm hooked. I'm in. I'll be watching. So we'll have something to talk about each week. What do we got this week? What are we previewing?
AFC West and NFC West, and this wraps up our preview. We're going to get cooking soon here. I'm going to start with
the top 2 divisions in football.
Yeah.
Has all the money gone out west?
They are. All the money's out west, baby.
It sure seems that way.
I'm going to start with my Fighting Denver Broncos, and why wouldn't I? Weeks 13 to 18, tough at Ravens, Chiefs home, Cardinals home, at Rams, at Chiefs again, and Chargers to wrap up the season. Russell Wilson on O, Randy Gregory on D. They got another pass rusher, which is what you need in the league, and they got a top 10 quarterback. And what we've been saying for over a year now is what we think the missing piece is out in Mile High. No first-round pick. With their first pick in the second round, they took another pass rusher and Nick Bonito from Oklahoma. What that tells me,
any word on him so far?
he looks good. I think he's got to put on a little bit more weight, but so far he looks good. And what tells me with the additions of him and Gregory is that they don't trust Chubb staying healthy. That's basically what that tells me. Third round, they took tight end Greg Dulcich, a long-haired hippie kind of guy from UCLA.
Yeah, I like him a lot, though.
And now they're trying to replace, obviously, Noah Fant, who's in the Russell Wilson trade.
So there was an argument that he was the best receiving tight end in the draft.
Yeah.
And that was kind of something that Russell Wilson never had before. Now, we've talked about this. There's maybe the reason that Russell Wilson has never had a great tight end is because he's a shorter quarterback, and these kind of mid-range, over-the-middle passes are difficult for a shorter quarterback. But we shall see, because I like this kid a lot. What was their record last year? Do you have that?
I think 7-10.
Okay.
Let
me ask you something. If they just flip that, and they go 10-7, is that a good year or is that a disappointment for you? Is that one game short of being a good year for you?
Does 10-7 get them this year? You mean coming up, or last year?
If they go 10-7 this year, are you satisfied with that?
I got to be honest with you, man. That division is so tough, and the AFC as a whole. I think 10-7 is a good year. I think so.
Okay.
First year head coach, first year quarterback with a new team. You're already missing a wide receiver. I think that's I gotta be. I wouldn't be super upset about it. Now I don't know if that gets you in. It's going to be very close. It's very close.
Because there's been years with 16-game season that 10 wins doesn't get you in. So that's it's a bubble number right there.
It's a good question. I'll tell you that much.
But would you be satisfied to have flipped it from 7-10 to 10-7? First year, new quarterback, new coach.
I think I would. I'll
be honest with you. The new coach concerns me more than the new quarterback, especially since it's Russell Wilson. Like I gotta believe that, he's ready to go. I don't think he's going to be the problem. I don't think that's going to be the concern, assuming health. I think a new head coach, that worries me a little bit. And the reason I even bring that up, and we'll get to that team in a minute, is the Chargers. With Staley. Very similar teams where you could say like super complete teams, lots of stars, and in the most important positions, and yet 2 years in a row they don't make the playoffs. So that's my concern. And you and I both have put a significant amount of that on Staley himself.
Yeah.
So that the new head coach, who is it again?
Nathaniel Hackett
from Green Bay. Is he coming from? Right.
Yes, sir.
So to me, that's the question mark at this point. I asked you, this is going back a few weeks now, like, do you, are we really expecting Russell Wilson to be something that he's never been in this league before? And I don't know that he has to be. Like we've talked about, like, we don't know if he has to be. Like, he doesn't have to be Patrick Mahomes. This is a very complete team. Russell Wilson is not going to be something that we're like, shit, was this a good move? The coach, I don't know that you're going to question whether it was a good move, but it's a question of, is he ready? There's going to be no transition like this is smooth. Belichick, greatest of all time, he sucked with the Browns. So, there's that's your biggest concern, I would think, and especially in that division, there's not a lot of wiggle room for accidents and mistakes. Those kind of things will come back and bite you real quick.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
As they did to the Chargers last year, and we'll go into them now.
And we placed a heavy burden of that on the coaching staff. So
I'm going to go out and say it now. I'm going to give you the teams, but obviously every team in this division has a hard schedule because their division alone makes it even that way. So weeks 10-18, a gauntlet at Niners, Chiefs home, at Cardinals, at Raiders, Dolphins, Tennessee home, at Colts, Rams home, and they finish at Denver. They went defense in free agency, cornerback J.C. Jackson, former Patriot Super Bowl champion, and pass rusher Khalil Mack. Now, I don't know how much he has left in the tank. His better days are behind him for sure. It's funny, a couple weeks ago, we mentioned how we don't think the Raiders or Bears made out in that Khalil Mack trade. Then obviously he went to the Bears, and they had a playoff appearance or two, but obviously I think it was one game and done. Their offense held them back. First pick, guard Zion Johnson from Boston College. The question with this team has always been health defensively. We love Derwin James safety, and he just got paid today to make him the highest safety ever, which is a risky contract, I think.
Well, because of his health. Yeah,
that's what I'm saying.
Mainly,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
and not only that, we've seen stupid mistakes before at safety with the Seattle Seahawks trading for your Jamal Adams.
Correct.
And now they might be one of the worst teams in the league with a high-paid safety, which means absolutely nothing.
Who's really a glorified outside linebacker.
We've seen Joey Bosa get hurt, miss a chunk of games here and there as well. Yeah. But as for their offense, tremendous. We think Herbert's a budding star if he's not already.
Do you consider him a top 5 quarterback?
I do.
I think he is, but I'm not ready to say it because you can't be a top 5 quarterback and miss the playoffs. So if he keeps playing exactly how he's been playing, not even getting any better, and they make the playoffs this year, I instantly put him in the top 5. And I got to be honest with you, he's like one dude. Like if you said, would you take Justin Herbert, or there's not a lot of guys that I wouldn't take Justin Herbert over.
Would you take Herbert or Burrow?
Herbert. It's not even close.
Herbert or – yeah, I think you're right.
It's just hard.
Herbert or Mahomes?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah.
That's the one where I just don't think – I have the proven track record with Mahomes. And on top of that, he's also still young. He also doesn't get hurt. And he has a Super Bowl, multiple AFC championship games, multiple Super Bowl appearances. Like, I got to take Patrick Mahomes. I still am under the impression, I still under the belief, I should say, that Patrick Mahomes is the best quarterback in the NFL. Now, we got on him a little bit last year because he had a stretch there where it was a little ugly. But I just look at the arm strength, the mobility, the leadership, the toughness, the fact that he's always available, which Herbert is also, but he's only been in the league for 2 years. I can't think of anybody I would take over Patrick Mahomes. You know, there are a handful of guys in that kind of conversation. You know, Herbert or Josh Allen.
Yeah.
That's a tough one, dude. Yeah. Because they're almost like very mirror image. Both big, both mobile, both smart, both have freaking cannons for arms. Oh boy, I got to be honest with you, man. I think I probably would take Herbert.
Wow.
There's something about him. Let me ask you this. Of those two, just this one quality, who do you think is better in the pocket?
Herbert.
So that's why I take him. Because I think he's slightly behind as a runner. I think he's slightly behind in arm strength. Like, he's slightly behind other things.
And I think he's slightly right now. I think he's slightly behind in instinct as well.
Probably. Yeah. But Josh Allen's got a couple years on him, too.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, what I know is if he's better in the pocket, I'll get more years out of him. I'll have him even longer. So, like, Josh Allen is an amazing runner as well. Now, once that time comes, like Ben Roethlisberger or some of these other guys that used to be runners and they can't, once that time comes where he's not the dangerous runner that he used to be, will he still be as great as he is now? Whereas I think Justin Herbert, when his, quote unquote running days are over, I think he's still going to be super dangerous. You don't. That's why
you don't compare Josh Allen to Cam Newton, right? He's a better thrower.
Oh my God, no way! Yeah, of course, way better.
I left this out. The AFC West plays the AFC South and the NFC West. I'm sorry to leave that out. The Kansas City Chiefs, they start the year pretty damaging. At Cardinals, Chargers home, at Colts, at Buccaneers, Raiders and Bills home, at Niners, and then home to the Titans. No more Tyreek Hill. He is in Miami. Honey Badger Matthew is in New Orleans. The defense is getting a little up there now. A little older. Yeah. New wide receivers in Valdez-Scantling, Juju Smith-Schuster, and running back Ronald Jones, who all have a lot of mileage in this league already.
Yes.
And they're trying to replace the electric Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. So a couple things on what you just said. I'm not sure which is a bigger loss. I know this sounds absolutely crazy, but I'm genuinely not sure whether it's Tyrann Mathieu or Tyreek Hill.
I would agree.
And here's why. I believe that Patrick Mahomes falls in the category that we've talked in the last few weeks as we're doing previews and talking about young quarterbacks and talking about expensive quarterbacks. I believe he falls in the category of the Drew Breeses and the Tom Brady's and the Aaron Rodgers kind of players who give me somebody decent and I'll make them really good.
Yeah.
Like, I just think he makes every wide receiver that comes in his direction better. And so because of that, I'm less concerned about offense with the Chiefs. You still have the gears that make that machine run, and that's Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. And Andy Reid and his team, as far as talent evaluation, I have a lot of faith in whoever they draft or whoever they bring in, as far as those guys being productive. Because that was his track record with the Eagles too. Like, bring guys in, draft guys, they produce. And that was with what's his name at quarterback?
Donovan McNabb.
So now you got, a top tier, maybe the best quarterback in the league. I have more faith in that. Defensively, we know every year, and usually very much the first, quarter to third of the year, the Chiefs are pretty rough. They're pretty bad. Now, maybe it doesn't make a difference because offenses are a little behind defenses earlier in the season. So, maybe that's their plan. And every year it does seem like by the end of the season, they're playing better defense than in the beginning of the season. But now you're missing that one guy, like a couple years ago, Tyrann Mathieu was injured and they sucked on defense. He came back. Suddenly the defense played a lot better. Like, holy shit. So I'm not sure. Listen, I'm not trying to downplay the idea Tyreek Hill didn't matter or anything like that. Of course, he's a great player. I just think he's more replaceable than he might be more replaceable than some of these pieces on defense. And I think that's a problem because they were never like a great defensive team anyway. You know what I mean? So we shall see. We shall see with that. But it's the immediate reaction is, Tyreek Hill's gone. They're gonna suffer offensively. I don't think the Kansas City Chiefs are gonna have too many problems scoring points this year. That's just me. I'll be shocked if that's the case. Because you'd be hard-pressed to find a single year. Alex Smith, he didn't have Tyreek Hill, or if he did, nobody knew who the hell he was at the time. Like, he was productive with Andy Reid. McNabb, Michael Vick. Like, everyone's productive. Garcia. Jeff Garcia was a freaking all-pro. So, I have more faith on the offensive side. The defensive side was not so hot to begin with, and then you take a couple pieces away, important pieces. It scares me a little bit.
On to Pete's second favorite quarterback in the league. That would be Raiders quarterback Derek Carr.
Right behind Jared Goff.
Weeks 13 to 18, the Chargers at Rams, Patriots at Steelers, Niners, and Chiefs. Chandler Jones comes in as pass rusher, another guy that's been around a long time. Traded for Devontae Adams from the Packers, college teammates with Carr. No picks in the first two rounds, went heavy on line of scrimmage after that, and new head coach Josh McDaniels, and I am not a fan for multiple reasons.
So is that your biased opinion or is that your unbiased opinion? Can
I say both?
Let's hear the multiple reasons.
1, he sucked with the Broncos. 2, he traded Jay Cutler for fucking Tim Tebow. 3, he took a cold job and then quit on him before he even got there to go back to the Patriots. And 4, I don't think he's a great leader of men. I think that's a lot of Belichick with the Patriots, and a lot of those guys don't have good track records when they leave the Patriots.
I concur with everything you just said. Now, I don't have the disdain for him that you do, and that's the bias part because of his Denver Broncos experience.
Sure.
But looking at it objectively, that was a sour, time.
You understand where I'm coming from.
You're more emotional about it. I'm just looking as it was a shit time. It was a bad time. And he walked into that job cocky as,
absolutely,
as can be. I was with the Patriots. You need to do whatever I tell you to do if you want to win like we did. And you sucked. And, he was not good. So, all those same exact things that you just brought up. The Indy thing bothers me, man, because it just looks you look like a quitter.
And a lot of people forget that.
I don't know why. It's just such a red flag for me. And it also makes him unlikable. All
But
those
isn't
things.
he the perfect? But isn't he like the Raiders are the perfect team you could have went to?
Well, I was
like,
to say, it makes him a
yeah.
villain. And if you're going to be a villain at this point, you might as well either be on the Browns or be on the Raiders. So,
yeah,
I feel kind of bad for the Raiders because I think this is actually a pretty good football team.
I
do like Derek Carr. I think Derek Carr is a top 10 quarterback in this league. He has less excuses this year because of the Devontae Adams signing. So, and let's be honest, the rest of this division, I know Denver has a pretty good defense, but Chiefs don't have a great defense. I'll believe the Chargers have a great defense when I see it. On paper means nothing. So, he could light it up now with Waller and Adams and Jacobs in the backfield. Like there's talent there. No longer can we do he's doing this with nothing, which he was for a long time. He's putting up really good numbers with not a lot of talent there. It's just because of the division they're in. It's a strange time. I just don't know that they're that much less talented than the rest of that division. But it's hard to put too much stock in the Raiders. That's the problem. When you look around.
Mike Dean says Adams and Waller are a hell of a combination. Don't forget Hunter Renfrow catches a ton of balls.
Absolutely. And the funny thing is, if you look at that team now, it's kind of like a similar Patriots version. You got Randy Moss out at wide out, and you got Wes Welker, and you got Gronk or whoever was before. Like that. Yeah. Like you have the makings of that kind of setup. Listen, why don't we do our standings? And I'll make a comment about that because it's funky. It's funky. This is maybe the toughest division I've ever seen.
Last year, Chiefs first place went to the AFC Championship game. 2 of the Las Vegas Raiders made the playoffs and almost upset Cincinnati on the road. 3 of the Chargers, who were a stupid playing for a tie. If they played for a tie, they would have beat the Steelers out for a playoff spot. And then, as we've seen, anything can happen once you're in there. And 4, my Denver Broncos limping in with basically Pete Caliano playing quarterback. This year, I have the Chargers.
I'm better than Drew Lock, by the way. He has a better arm, but I'm a way better leader.
Yeah. I have the Chargers winning the AFC West.
Really?
I think I was high on them last year. I'm going to write it again.
In fact, I believe you predicted them to win the West last year.
I think Staley will learn from his mistakes. We just drooled all over Herbert. Their weapons are very good all over the place. I think this is the year their defense stays fairly healthy and does just enough to keep them in games so Herbert could win it for them. In second place, I have the Ponies in Denver.
Oh my God. This is absurd.
So I will tell you why. I will put my money where my mouth is. I think, and as you did as well, we've been saying for a year and a half that they are a quarterback away. They have the quarterback now. I like this coach because he's not coming in cocky. He's coming in with a good resume, all that be with LaFleur with Green Bay, but I do trust him. I like the moves they made. They are deep at receiver, deep at O-line, deep at running back, and we like their defense from day one last year. Third place, I have the Chiefs, and I will say this. Frank Clark and Chris Jones are getting older on that defensive line. I couldn't name you. They have a middle linebacker from Missouri who I like, Bolton, I think his name is, Nick Bolton. Their secondary is not great, and this is the division you do not want to be. Fuck Mike Dean. This is not the division. This is not the division you want to be weak in the secondary. I do trust Andy Reid getting rid of Tyreek Hill a year early. However, Valdez-Scaling and Juju Smith-Schuster, I don't know if those are the guys you want to replace them with. I'm not.
Plus, we just had an injury either yesterday of Mecole Hardman got banged up. I don't know how long. I didn't see any further news on how long he might be out or how severe it was, but he was the one guy that was still here that's been on the team.
And listen, Kelsey's unbelievable. He's probably going to be a top 3 tight end of all time, maybe top 2 when it's all said and done.
I mean, statistically, sure,
he's going to get banged around this year.
Yeah. Yeah.
And number 4, and listen, and I agree with you. I think the Raiders have some talent. I just don't think their defense is all that good.
Yeah.
And I tell you, I'll be honest with you, Carr did grow on me, and I think he's going to have a great fantasy year. But as winning games goes, I don't know if they're going to have the horses to do it.
You know, it's funny because I think last year the NFC West we thought was going to be the best, and maybe it still was the best division in the league. And then Seattle kind of shit the bed. But that was more like the Rams were good on defense, the 49ers good on defense,
Yeah.
Seattle good on defense, although they weren't. That's what we thought. And Arizona made some upgrades on defense and offense, both, because you still had a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. This division is different. Like, this is like offensively loaded. And if there was a bet that was like, what division will score the most points as a whole over the course of the year, I would jump all over that bet, or like I would take the over of whatever it was, because there's not a bad offense. There's not even a mediocre offense in this division. These are 4 of the what? I don't know. I would probably say 4 of the 12 best offenses in the entire NFL.
Yeah, definitely.
And I'm probably underestimating it. Like, who's better than these 4 teams offensively? Not too many teams.
Chiefs, Bills, Bengals, Cowboys, maybe not anymore.
Cowboys?
Maybe, exactly. Packers, maybe
Rams,
not anymore.
Maybe
not anymore. Yeah,
maybe not anymore. Packers, not anymore. Like, this is going to be fun. I don't know what's going to happen. I'll give you my predictions.
Go ahead.
But I don't know what's going to happen. But I know
what your predictions are going to be. It's going to be Chiefs, Chargers, Raiders, Broncos. I know.
What I will tell you that I know is going to be true is that this is going to be a fun division to watch when they play each other and when they play other teams. You're going to want to tune into, if you have the like NFL package or something like that, you're going to want to tune into games that the AFC West is playing in. I don't care if they're playing their own division or playing outside. You want to see those teams play, because these are 4 freaking explosive teams. The Raiders were explosive last year at times without some of these guys. Now they have them, like, wow. So I just think it's going to be a super fun division to follow and watch more than anything. So the way I cannot take it away from the Chiefs until somebody else takes it away from the Chiefs. And I certainly couldn't have the Chargers do it because they didn't even make the playoffs last year. So I just
really going out on a limb there.
I can't bring myself to do it. So I have the Chiefs still coming in first, although I think there are some chinks in the armor there, and there are some more opportunities for teams to catch up and do some damage there. I don't think they're the juggernaut that they've been in the last, 4 or 5 years, whatever it is. In second place, so suck it, I have the Denver Broncos.
Wow.
I stand by what I said last year, which is what you've been saying here, is that I feel like they're one player away. I don't think Russell Wilson is the same Russell Wilson you've had for the last for his first 8 or 9 years in the league, but I still think he's a top 10 quarterback, and I don't think you need to have a top 3 quarterback to be really good in this league.
Fair.
He's certainly top 10, maybe probably more like 6, 7, or 8, somewhere in that range. And if the rest of the team is what we thought it was,
that's why we took the damn field.
If the rest of the team is what we thought it was, then this should be a pretty competitive team. I don't love having a rookie head coach. If he had previous head coaching experience, I'd feel better. But there's no previous head coaching experience, so that makes me nervous. And listen, 1 or 2 games can make all the difference in the world, and that's why I can't give them first place. But I do think you have an offensive-minded head coach with a high-end quarterback, high-end weapons, a really nice young tight end that they drafted on top of the weapons that they have, and at the very least, a top 10 defense, which is all you need. I don't know if they're top 5, top 8, top 3, top 10. They're top 10.
Yep.
I think they're going to be super competitive, and I can't see them not winning at least 10 games, probably more like 11. And in third place, I do have the Chargers. I'm just not ready to crown them. We can say what we want about Staley. He's a defensive-minded coach. I know he lets it rip, so he's got a little McDermott in him where he says, offense, go do offensive stuff. This is an offensive league, go do offense. But as a defensive head coach, his defense has sucked over the last 2 years. So I'm not so hot with him. And I'll be honest with you, if they miss, I've said this a couple of weeks ago. We had who's kind of like on a make or break season. Maybe that was last week. If they don't make the playoffs again, and I don't think it's absurd in this division, I think they could come in fourth place in this division, but I'll put them in third. But if they miss the playoffs again, I think there's a really good chance that Staley could go. I think there's a really good chance that he could be gone.
And then they go get the best offensive mind in the league after that.
Maybe they do. Yeah, maybe they do. Maybe they go get Sean Payton. Sean Payton would be crazy.
That would suck for me. Oh my God,
it would. And in fourth place, unfortunately, somebody's got to be in fourth. Although I don't think they're deserving of your typical fourth place.
Yeah,
not the Jets. They're not the Jaguars. They're not the Bears. This is a this is a first place team in like 3 other divisions probably. But unfortunately, they're not in 3 other divisions. They're in the AFC West, and I could see them going 9-8 and being in fourth place in this division.
You know what? I want to give the GMs in this division a shout out. They all went after it.
Yes, they took their shots.
Something,
yes,
yeah.
Sir.
They all did something there, you know?
Yeah. And as a fan, you should appreciate that. As a fan, you should like that. As a fan. Now, I don't know, you know, who knows what the division will probably end as. But even if you're the Raiders, trust me, if you're a Raider fan, you're not going like 6-11. Like, that's not this fourth place type team. This is it's just unfortunate that there's so many good teams in one division. It's unfortunate for those teams, I guess. Not for us. It's great for us.
Yeah.
So, it's funny. You might get the Raiders might come in fourth place and Derek Carr be an all-pro quarterback or a Pro Bowl quarterback, which wouldn't be absurd. It wouldn't be absurd.
No, it would not be. And it wouldn't shock me if they're in fourth place with a winning record either.
So let me ask you this, because we know it's probably not going to finish the way either of us said. Would it totally blow you out of the water if they won the division? No, right?
Like
if Seattle, we're gonna do the NFC West next. If Seattle won the division, you would shit your pants.
Yeah, it would shock me a little bit just because I don't think they're there defensively like the other 3 teams kind of.
But you'd be a little surprised.
I would be for sure.
If the Jets won the AFC East, you'd be like, "What the fuck happened?"
I would quit this podcast.
You would quit. Yeah, you'd be like, "I don't know anything." You'd just be like, "I don't know anything. There's no good reason for me to talk about sports at all because that's just insane, right?" But if the Raiders won this division, you'd be like,
"Yeah."
Okay, I mean, I didn't think so, but okay. So that's why it's such a great and cool division, and it'll be so much fun to watch them.
NFC West, they will play the NFC South and the AFC West. Last year they finished Rams 1, Super Bowl champion Rams. Cardinals 2, playoff loss first round, and an ugly one at that. The Niners came in third, also a playoff team, and were a player away from going to the Super Bowl themselves. And the Seattle Seahawks in fourth place to round it out. Let's start with the Super Bowl champions. Weeks 8 to 12, Niners at Bucks, Cardinals home at Saints at Chiefs. Allen Robinson in, Odell Beckham out for now. He is currently nursing and coming back from an ACL that he suffered in the Super Bowl. He is out there. Someone's going to probably give him a shot.
I think it's an upgrade anyway.
Halfway through the year, somewhere around there.
I think he'd be a great fit on Green Bay. I'll just say that.
Yeah.
Odell Beckham on Green Bay on a 1-year contract, or Odell Beckham going to Tampa for a 1-year contract. I could see Tom Brady pulling a trigger on something like that. Absolutely.
Von Miller gone to Buffalo. Andrew Whitworth, left tackle, retires. Stafford already banged up. Their running backs both have some soft tissue injuries going on. And you always worry about a Super Bowl hangover. A lot going on there, bro.
Yeah, the 2 things that you just mentioned that caused me the greatest amount of pause are Whitworth retiring. This is a starting left tackle. Now, he was older, man. He was like 40 years old, and he was still one of the best in the league. He was still one of the best in the league. I think he gave up 1 sack all last year and maybe like five QB touches. Like, he was really good. They won the Super Bowl. You would think maybe he comes back because it's still there. But he's gone. Trust me when I tell you, you don't just replace that guy with another guy. He's that good. To emphasize that even more, this is the second year in a row that we've been talking about this elbow kind of touchiness, sensitiveness, injury, hurt, whatever with Matthew Stafford in the preseason, where they've had to keep an eye on him, keep his numbers down, have him not throwing at all, whatever the case may be. My guess is he'll be fine or he'll be ready to go when the season starts. But it's starting to become a concern. You know what I mean? So now you lose your starting left tackle, who's an all-pro left tackle, and your quarterback has kind of a banged-up shoulder. You know, we have to remember they went through the playoffs last year. That's playing an extra, 3 games that they ended up playing? Was it 3 or 4 games for them?
No, they didn't get a bye.
So they played 4 extra games. That's a quarter of a season.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? On top of the regular season. They end up playing over 20 games.
They beat up the Cardinals in that first round.
Well, they were 21. They played 21 games last year, dude.
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's some wear and tear issues going on. Matthew Stafford is a year older, and we didn't even do anything yet, and his elbow's already fired up. Like, that causes me to be concerned. It just does. But listen, that team has been built to win championships. We said it last year. I think they're in the same boat that they were in last year, which is they're very thin. They're really talented and heavy at the top. They did not get hurt last year. If any of these guys, Cooper Kupp goes down, they're in trouble. Matthew Stafford goes down, they're in trouble. Like, they're just thin because they pay their stars a lot of money and they fill in the blanks the rest of the way. And I get it. It's worked. So who's to say anything? But it's when it doesn't work, it looks really bad. That's the problem. So we'll see. But they're still loaded, and they're still, one of the better teams in the NFL for sure.
The San Francisco 49ers, a team that we've hit on basically, I think, every week since the season ended. Week 7 to 14, Chiefs home, at Rams, Chargers home, at Cardinals, Saints, Dolphins, Buccaneers home. Jimmy G out? Maybe? Question mark? Maybe not. Don't think so. Lance in? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. As you said last week, there are a lot of comments coming out there that he'll be fine. They're hoping he's going to be fine. There's no evidence of that yet.
Showing progress. Listen, he had a really good preseason game. I'll give him that much.
Deebo Samuel contract agreed upon, so that headache's over at least there.
Yes.
Their offensive coordinator gone, went to the Miami Dolphins for the head coach, took running back Racine Mozart with him. I don't know. Like I said last week, if Lance shows up and plays well, I will be the first guy. Oh, him and Carson Wentz, the two of them. If they show up and play well, I'll be the first guy to apologize. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a big ask. It's a big ask because this is a championship quality team. This is a team that was basically like 1 or 2 plays away last year to go into the Super Bowl again with Jimmy G. And you can say what you want, and I wouldn't necessarily disagree with you about how good or not good Jimmy G is. The reality is that Kyle Shanahan, without Jimmy G, has a losing record, and a significant losing record, not just like barely a losing record. Like, he wins like 30% of his games without him. So look at their record when he went down last year for a short period of time. They struggled, and they didn't win. And then he comes back and they win. It doesn't look pretty. It's almost inexplicable because Jimmy Garoppolo's stats last year were not great, except in one column, and that's the win column. And Shanahan's record when he's not there is higher in the losers column. So that's one side of it, that Trey Lance, nobody gives a shit. All I hear is, he brings an added dimension with his legs. Are you going to win? That's all that matters, dude. The added dimension doesn't mean shit if you lose games.
Nope.
Okay, we heard this with Justin Fields. The added dimension, you can't practice for that. First of all, the running quarterback thing is not new. These guys know how to handle it. Whether they handle it or not is one thing, but they know what to do. Okay, so that's not new. Like, they can't practice for this. They practice for it all the time. Second of all, it doesn't matter. You got to win games. Justin Fields can be whatever you want, but they lose. If Trey Lance is losing games, it doesn't matter what he looks like and how sexy it is and how fun it is to watch. You have to win football games. And Kyle Shanahan just doesn't have the track record outside of Jimmy Garoppolo. It just is what it is.
Coach, why do you play?
You play to win the game. Hello?
Thank you. The Arizona Cardinals, weeks 10 to 16 at the Rams, Niners home, Chargers home, Patriots home, at the Broncos, and then the Buccaneers home. Kyler Murray drama over? Maybe. He got paid. I still think he's a baby bitch. I don't know.
I don't think that drama's ever over. I think that's
I agree with you. Second half collapse. Are they in for it again? with him and Coach Cliff Kingsbury. Hopkins out 6 weeks. Huge blow. One of the best receivers in the league when he's healthy.
And it's huge because when are the Cardinals at their best? It's early in the season.
Correct.
And now when you're going to be at your best, when you're fully loaded and healthy, you're missing a guy, your best receiver for 6 weeks.
Hollywood Brown played with Kyler in college. Zach Ertz, tight end, still productive.
Yes, for sure.
Christian Kirk gone to the Jaguars. I am a Rondell Moore fan, but that all depends on the quarterback play. And their defense, Chandler Jones gone. J.J. Watt's basically 100 now in football years.
We were the only ones last year that were putting the kibosh on that, saying don't get your panties in a bunch about J.J. Watt. It amounted to nothing. Then nobody even talks about it anymore. We were the only ones that were being realistic about it. The only ones. It made no difference for that team, especially when he's not on the field.
Correct.
Which is what we said, Of all the things you said, the one kind of X factor that I'm fascinated to see how it goes is a Hollywood Brown thing because, it's never good to have like angst. It's never good to have chaos, and that kind of chaos that came with the contract negotiations, then the contract having the little element in it about he has to watch 4 hours of film with Kyler. He's just a weird dude. Mm-hmm. And like we were saying with Hollywood Brown, was it him that was average or was it Lamar being an average passer in Baltimore that made Hollywood Brown look average? And you know what the truth is? I don't know. Lamar Jackson hasn't made anybody look special. So is it possible that there have been special receivers on that team that they just don't get the shine because they have a quarterback who's not necessarily a great passer of the football or a great decision maker when it comes to like making tough throws or putting it? The answer is I don't know. What's so interesting about it is that he, like you said, he is a former teammate. There's a comfort level there. I think that could help. How much of a difference will that make? I have no idea. Kyler Murray is this like it's hard to even say. It's just he's like this figure out there that it's like there's greatness and there's bad. There's evil and there's good. It's like he's a superhero and a villain at the same time. It's just bizarre, and I can't put a finger on that. And what that says to me is chaos. And I just don't think your quarterback can be the center of chaos. What other chaos is there on that team? What other turmoil is there on the Cardinals? None. Now, if it was a wide receiver like TL, you blow him off as a diva wide receiver, blah, blah, blah. Nobody cares. Defensive end, snorting coke, banging whores, whatever. These guys are all crazy. But when it's your quarterback, that's like the center of chaos.
And all of a sudden, I'm very thirsty.
I just don't think that's a healthy formula. Is he talented? For sure. Are they going to win football games? Absolutely. We talked about last week, Kingsbury, hot seat or not. Like if it ends up going again like it has in the past where they flounder at the end of the season, I think there's a chance he could be gone. So there's added pressure there because of past performance. This is one of those teams where it's like I have no confidence of who they're going to be. I don't think they're going to stink because they're just way too talented. I don't think Kingsbury is a dummy. He's not Rich Kotite, so I think there's potential there. But I genuinely am not sure what to think of them. It's just the rest of the division is funky, and I don't know what to think of the rest of the division. So it's hard to put them down too far.
Seattle Seahawks schedule not too bad. Russ gone, Locke and Geno Smith looks like a battle for quarterback that I think Geno's in the lead on right now. Running back Chris Carson retired due to a neck injury.
Yeah, that's
feel bad for that fella.
Yeah.
Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf.
These are real weapons.
I asked you a question 2 weeks ago about your best combination in the league. These guys would be up there with a competent quarterback, no doubt about it.
Oh my God, yeah. Yeah, come on, dude.
Can they be effective?
DK Metcalf is like one of the top 3 deep threats in the league. Yeah. Plus, he's built like a friggin' Greek statue. Mm-hmm. Like, give me a break.
Kind of looks like you, Coach.
Oh, yeah, just like me.
Defense not very talented.
Should I take my shirt off?
Please don't.
No.
Is Pete Carroll's coaching career winding down?
So you asked this question a while ago because you have to recognize that the Seattle Seahawks are in some form of a rebuild, right? Like they're not ready to win now. And Pete Carroll's 71, 72, 73, getting up there. So when will they be ready to win? 2-3 years from now? He's going to be 75. Like it's a weird time. Like you would think if you're going to move on, then just move on as a whole, you know, or do you not? Because you look at like young coaches, you got a Robert Saleh with the Jets. If they're going to struggle again this year, people are already talking he'll be on the hot seat at the end of this year. Would he have been better off with someone else taking the job for a year or two and then stepping into that job once Zach Wilson was ready and that offensive line was ready and that defense was rebuilt? You know, maybe if you're a young budding coach, you don't want to step into that job because they're going to be bad for a little while, and especially until they replace that quarterback. Because neither of the guys they have there, when Geno Smith is probably leading the way, you don't have a quarterback.
Oh, God.
You don't have a quarterback. So, yeah, they're a weird team. I think they're going to be pretty bad this year. I think there's a chance that they're like a top 5 pick, possibly top 3 pick in the NFL draft next year.
Yeah, and then you get your quarterback. You go get C.J. Stroud and suck again.
You asked me, last week, do I think Pete Carroll is still a guy that players want to play for? I do think so.
Me too.
I do think so. I think he ran his course, or those players ran their course with him at the time. But I think new guys come in and they do like him. So
that's one of the things why I think Jim Harbaugh works for college, because every 4 years you get a new crop.
Yes, yeah, because he wears everybody thin.
All that shit, all his craziness, and
yeah,
who's got better than us, and all this. After 4 years, you've had it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. He's like your favorite sweater. Like sooner or later, it just runs its course. You can't wear it anymore because it's just like it's too beat up. It's just
or some would say your favorite pair of drawers, but who am I?
Yeah.
I got the Rams in first. I got the Niners in second.
Ooh.
I got the Cardinals in third. I don't know. I can flip flop those. It's kind of like what you did last week with I forgot what team it was. And I got the Seahawks in fourth. I think the only two things I'm confident on are the Rams in the first and the Seahawks in fourth. The other two teams, I don't know. I really don't know.
I have Rams Cardinals in second, just because I think they're more settled at the quarterback position. I don't necessarily love Kyler Murray, but I think he's a way more proven product than Trey Lance.
I put it this way: I trust
Kyle
Shanahan over Cliff, and I trust their defense over the Cardinals.
Well, I'll trust history, and history tells me that Kyle Shanahan is below average outside of 1 year with the Atlanta Falcons and Jimmy Garoppolo. So I'll believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. So I have the Cardinals in second, and I have the 49ers in third. We talked about this like a few weeks ago. We said, what stories are we interested in? This 49ers story is one of them, because if they get off to a slow start with their new young shiny object quarterback, I read an article today that that Jimmy Garoppolo is a candidate for them to cut. Yeah, I think that's risky. I think that's risky. Any other team, sure. If Jimmy Garoppolo was the backup for Justin Fields in Chicago, cut him. You're going to suck either way. It doesn't matter. The facts of the matter are with the 49ers, this is a Super Bowl roster outside of quarterback. This is an NFC championship roster with said backup quarterback last year. Let's not forget, this team has gone to the NFC championship 2 out of the last 3 years, and 3 years ago they went to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. It's just an odd scenario. You just don't replace significant winning quarterbacks like this. I know the stats. I get it. I'm not trying to argue him as a stat monster. But the fact is they win games. And here's where I say it. Like, if it wasn't Garoppolo, like if you just looked and you said, well, it can't be Garoppolo because his stats suck. But look at when they put anybody else in those same 3 years. They're significantly below average. So until proven otherwise, I don't see why that historically would change. So, but I'm fascinated to see it because I do believe in Kyle Shanahan as a coach. I do believe he's a really good coach. I do believe he has an excellent mind for offense and creativity and all that kind of stuff. But it is what it is, man. Like, we've seen this, and it's hard to just say, yeah, this is the time, And yeah, the Seahawks in fourth and last. they're just bad. This is a bad
Yep.
football team.
Yep.
I could honestly, there's an argument to be made that they'll get the first pick in the draft next year. There's an argument to be made there. They play in a very tough division, so I could absolutely see them going 0-6 in the division. And I think they're bad. They do not have a quarterback. They have Geno Smith at quarterback. So, or your boy, what's his face? So, I think there's problems there. There's real problems there.
And that will wrap up our preview in the NFL. A couple more weeks, we get this thing kicked off, and we are excited and ready to go.
Can't wait. Couple weeks from now, we get some college football, right?
10 days.
10 days. So, like next week, what do you think?
Maybe before that, actually. Next Thursday, I think we kick off, right?
So next week we should do a college football preview, right?
No, I think that's the week after.
It's a week after.
Yeah.
Next week we do a college football.
Yeah, next week I think it's the Ireland game.
Oh, you're gonna love that because we're gonna give you guys everything you need to know about this upcoming college football season. Which I don't know. We love the NFL, but I think both of us have a soft spot in our hearts for college football, bigger than NFL. But the NFL season is longer and it means more, and it's what everybody's paying attention to, so we have no choice. But I think we both have a passion for college football more than even the NFL.
Damn right.
My favorite sport for sure.
You want to hit some over-under, sir?
I love this idea because I think there are some bad numbers out there. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at some college football win totals and some NFL win totals. Listen, if there's anything we could do, what we've done on this podcast is we've made you guys money. And we're going to make you some more money today. So these would be like futures bets. We're going to give you like the win total over and under for a couple teams, and we'll tell you whether or not this is going to go over. I feel super confident about my teams here. I have 3 college and 3 pro. I think you have 2 of each.
I do.
So get your wallets out, load up your DraftKings account. I'm sure they're giving away bonuses over the next 2 weeks. Add 1,000, deposit 1,000. They give you 1,000, whatever the hell the number is. Get it in there and load up on these because these are the ones that are going to take you home. Pay off your mortgage with these boys. All right, here we go. Start with college.
Go ahead.
I'll give you my first one. This team has struggled. New head coach. Ed Orgeron out the door. I think there was some funkiness going on there that we don't even know about because he seemed way too happy to be leaving. It was almost like I'm leaving with my head still attached to my shoulders, so I'm not terribly upset. We have Brian Kelly coming into LSU. Brian Kelly is a proven guy, Final Four guy with Notre Dame. I know they lost their quarterback, but they brought in some other guys. I have no concerns whatsoever about the offense because Brian Kelly has from the time he was at Cincinnati and Notre Dame. Offense will not be a problem, and we know LSU brings the heat. They always have guys that go in the NFL. The number seems incredibly low, 6.5 wins. So that means basically if LSU becomes bowl eligible, you win this bet.
Yeah.
They have to win 7 games. There's no fucking way LSU isn't winning 7 games. So give me LSU over 6.5 wins. I know it's the SEC. I know it's tough. They're probably not going to beat Alabama. Probably not going to beat Georgia if they play them. I don't even know what they're playing them. I don't care. There's 7 wins out there, no doubt about it. And I wouldn't be surprised if they won 8 or 9.
I am going to stay in the SEC. And I got the Florida Gators over 7. They play in the worst of the 2 East and West.
Who the hell's their head coach?
Napier from Louisiana Lafayette. Billy Napier.
Ugh.
Dan Mullen overstayed his welcome there.
He did.
At the end.
Is he coaching anywhere now?
I don't think he's an analyst.
Oh, my God.
I know.
Oh, have the mighty have fallen.
As the great Bernie Schulte would say, I know, right?
I know, right?
So,
So
Florida plays Georgia in the world-famous cocktail party. They will lose that game.
Yes, they will.
They open up against Utah. I think they lose that game.
That's a tough one.
They play Tennessee
where is that game?
In Florida.
Well, I'm not going to give that one up just yet.
They play an improving Tennessee team, but other than that, I think you got about 8 or 9 wins on this schedule. So I'm going over 7 with the Gators.
Okay. I could see that. If those are their 2 toughest games, I could see that.
Yep.
Or 3 toughest games. I could see that. Because what are they playing? 13 games now?
12.
12 games. I mean, it just got to be barely over 500.
I know.
You got to think the Florida Gators got to be over 500, right? All right, we kind of alluded to this a couple weeks ago when we talked about some Big Ten football and some funky scheduling, and I'm just going to follow up on it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the Nebraska Cornhuskers won, 4 games last year?
That would be 4 games last year.
4 games last year. The over and under for Nebraska is 7.5, which would mean they would have to double their win total to beat the number here. I do think they might be improved, although they are replacing a 4-year, I think he might even have been a 5-year starter because of COVID at quarterback and Martinez. And that is, I'm always a big fan of betting against first-year starting quarterbacks in college football. I don't give a shit what the rest of the team looks like. They could have won the national fucking championship, other than Alabama. They could have won the national championship, last year. I'm betting against first-year quarterbacks. I'm betting against an entire program. Frost must be like kicking himself for having left. What was it, Central Florida? They were pinning national championship trophies on their shirts because they went undefeated. And now the guy can't even win 5 games. There's no friggin' way they win 8 games this year. So give me Nebraska under 7.5 wins. I would have taken the under if I think it was like 6.5.
If they go 7-5, lose the bowl game, does Frost survive?
I think if they go to a bowl game, they'll keep him because he's a hometown boy.
Yeah, he's one of the.
And that's a significant improvement. If they go 7-5 and make a bowl game, that's a significant improvement. So there's no friggin' way to win in 8 games, though. I tell you that right now.
I'm gonna go out west. And I'm going to talk about our boy
USC,
Lincoln Riley.
I love it.
This guy's going to either make me look like a fucking jackass or a genius.
Yes, that's it. That's it. This is either going to become the Pete and Mike Dean show, or it's going to be the Scotty Bracey alone show, Mike. Because Jesus
on
Christ,
Fox Sports at 3
you are betting the farm against Lincoln Riley here. I already know the bet. I know it's an under.
So
Jesus Christ. Holy shit. You would think he was like
fucked my sister.
You would think he was like the South. Yeah, he fucked your sister. Was a South Florida coach for the last 2 years and won 3 total games. Like, wow.
Oh man. So you guessed correctly. I'm going under 9.5. Oh, so I know he's brought in 100 transfers as quarterback from Oklahoma.
Yep.
Jordan Addison from Pitt, the Biletnikoff winner. However, they have some serious issues on both line of scrimmages. And as loyal listeners to this show, you know I love the line of scrimmage. USC back in the Pete Carroll days they recruit all the Samoan guys, and they were thick up front. Thick and athletic. Defensive ends.
Definitely.
Left tackle, Tyron Smith.
Defensive tackles. You couldn't run up the middle against them. Yeah.
Right. I do think he's going to get a cook in there. I just think this year, I think it's an ask. I think that, their schedule, they have UCLA, Stanford week 2, always a tough game for them. Notre Dame.
Stanford has one of the best quarterbacks in the country, too, coming back.
And smart team. They don't screw around. And I think they got so much going on out there now with the move in a couple of years to the Big Ten. Listen, if they go 9-3, it's a great year, but I win the bet. It's 9.5.
Oh, that's a lot.
Right, it's a heavy number, right?
That's a big number. That's a lot. You're asking them to win 10 games,
right?
Basically, go 10-2, right? And the reality is, in your defense, like UCLA is the number 1 game in town right now.
Yep. With
Chip Kelly, like that's a better roster right now. I don't care who they brought in at quarterback. You got a 3 or 4 year starter at quarterback at UCLA. I mean, I would be surprised if USC beats UCLA. I would. There's 1 loss right there. You just have to find 2 more losses. Can they beat Utah? Utah's a great team. Utah's a great team. Can they beat Oregon?
Exactly.
Like there's 3 losses right there. We didn't even get to like anything else. Now the rest of the division. Do you have any idea who they play out of conference? Do they play any big teams out of
Notre Dame? Obviously.
Well, Notre Dame will have a new quarterback, so that'll be interesting.
And a new coach.
They play BYU this year?
Hold on, sir.
Going to your little mini smart machine there.
The Men of Troy.
Is BYU on their schedule?
UCLA opens up at fucking Bowling Green. Well, they open up at Rice. I don't think that's going to be a problem.
Not a problem. Army beat them. So
tricky one here, Coach.
let me hear it. Let's hear the schedule. Let's do this.
Labor Day Saturday, play Rice at home. Then at Stanford.
Tough one. I'm not going to call it a loss, but it's a tough one.
Then Fresno State at home.
Also a tough one. That's a very good football team.
Yeah. Then at Oregon State and Corvallis, that's a win.
Should be a win.
Arizona State home, that's a win.
Should be a win.
At Washington State, a win.
Should be a win.
Home Washington State, excuse me.
Should be a win either way. I don't care where they're playing.
At the Utes.
That's going to be tough. That's going to be a really tough game to win.
Bye week. At Arizona.
They should win.
Home versus Cal.
They should win. That's always a tough game, though.
They got lucky. They don't play Oregon.
They don't play Oregon.
Maybe that's why the number's that high.
They play Washington Huskies?
No.
Wow.
Not. You know what? I should check the schedule.
You want to rescind your bet?
I don't.
Who else? Go ahead. Keep going.
Versus Cal, versus Colorado, at UCLA, and then home versus Notre Dame, and then the year. You know, Notre Dame could be cooking by then too, dude. They could kind of figure it out a little bit. I think it's going to be early.
Listen, I think I'd still take the under because we're just counting certain games as wins. Like you can't just count Cal as a win. You can't just count. You know, some of those games are tougher than you think. So, because I agree with you, and it's his first year, he hasn't replaced everybody. I wouldn't be surprised if they got 9 wins, but I kind of would be surprised if they got 10. I think 10 is a big ask. So 9-3 sounds about right.
You know what? I think it does. I think
if you would have looked at the schedule, though, you probably would have gone with somebody else.
Yeah, I'm just fully committed to the fucking Lincoln Riley thing.
It's so funny, man. But you're right. If you're right on all this shit, you look like a fucking genius, man. Oh my God. I told you he wasn't that good. I told you he was overrated. What did he win at Oklahoma? What did he do before that? He was at East Carolina. He doesn't show any leadership qualities. I don't know. Oh, you're putting all your eggs in one basket there. That's for sure. Fuck California.
Yeah.
My third team, and you just spoke of one of the players that's now in USC, which is one of the reasons I did this. My third team, and I'm going under 8.5 wins for the Pittsburgh Panthers. No more Kenny Pickett at quarterback and no more Addison as wide receiver. The next wide receiver that they have on this team isn't even close to that kid. You know, this is a 500 kind of team, year in, year out, game over 500, game under 500. They won the ACC championship last year. You know, that's not happening again without Kenny Pickett there. And that was because he went off. And I think they won 10 games. It wasn't like they won 13 games. Like, you know, there's no way. I just don't see. I could see them winning like 6. Again, new quarterback. I love betting against rookie quarterbacks in college football. On top of that, you lose Addison at wide receiver. They lost a couple guys on the defensive end to the draft as well. Pittsburgh under 8.5. I think this might be this and the LSU. I feel very strongly about all my picks. I got to be honest with you. I feel like most of them are winners by like a game and a half or 2 games. I'm not even kidding. Like LSU, I could see them winning 8 games. I'd be really surprised if they don't win 8 games. Nebraska, that might be a little closer if they are improved, but rookie quarterback. And for me, Pittsburgh, that's a 5-win team. I really do think it's a 5-win team.
All right, give me your first NFL team.
First in the NFL. Listen, they didn't have a great season last year. They missed the playoffs, but you asked me last week, 2 weeks ago, give me some teams that didn't make the playoffs last year that will make the playoffs this year. I've said repeatedly in the past, I don't think Lamar Jackson can win a Super Bowl, but I also don't think you're ever going to win less than 10 games if he's your starting quarterback for the entire season. And if he does exactly that, I win this bet because Baltimore is at 9.5. I think they're a 10-win team. I think Browns are going to struggle. I think the Steelers are going to struggle in division. I wouldn't be surprised if they split with the Bengals. It's a great run organization. And I just think if Lamar Jackson, regardless of contract status and all that shit that's going on and everything, if he's on the field, they're at least a 10-win team. I just don't think there's enough teams in the NFL that can keep up with his athleticism. And that alone wins them 6 or 7 games. and you just need to find like 3 or 4 other wins, and I think they will. So give me the Baltimore Ravens over 9.5. I don't know if it's by a half a point or by 1.5 or 2.5. I just don't see them losing. I don't see them winning less than 10 games. That's what it comes down to. I've said this year in, year out since we started this podcast. I don't think you can win a Super Bowl with Lamar, but I don't think you win less than 10 games. And that makes this a winner.
A team that we both like, a coach we both like, a quarterback on a revenge tour, a talented roster, a young, exciting, fast defense, a division that's not so great outside one team. I have over 6.5 wins for the Carolina Panthers.
Now, what's interesting, I also have the over, but I got the number at 5.5.
Oh, sign me up with your bookie.
I love the 5.5, right? I like Carolina.
I'll take the 6.5.
Dude, you just sold it perfectly. I don't think this is as bad a team as people are making them out to be. Like, let's be honest. This team started off the season like 5-1 last year, 4-0, and then 5-1. And then the wheels fell off with injuries and stuff like that. I think Baker is an upgrade at quarterback. I think, just like you said, I think he's got a major chip on his shoulder. Have you heard a word, any quotes out of Baker Mayfield since campus?
Funny, huh?
Since he's been traded. Nothing. No commercials, no quotes, no tweets, nothing. Very
him
quiet.
And Sam are getting along. They're good.
What I like more is that him and Robbie Anderson are getting along. Him and McCaffrey are getting along. He's learning. I'm telling you what, man. Don't be surprised. We talked about it I think it was last week when we did the preview for this division. I think there's a chance that they could sneak into the playoffs. So I'll gladly take over 5.5 wins. I think this is a much better team than they're being given credit for.
One thing you know about me, Coach, and I just proved it to you, I'm very pot committed. I'm going to hit another one here.
Oh, boy.
I think you know where I'm going.
Chargers over 9.5 wins?
No.
Oh, okay.
Want one more guess? Think negatively.
Arizona under 9?
No. Washington Commanders under 7.5.
Ooh, that's a good one. That's probably a good one.
As we all know, I'm not. Like I said, I'm not going to beat the guy up anymore. Carson Wentz is a problem. Their running backs are fumbling. Outside of McLaurin, they don't have very many weapons outside. Their tight ends coming off an ACL and a broken.
So you don't have much faith in the kid out of Penn State?
I don't.
Just because he's a rookie?
He's a little fellow, and they already have kind of a little fellow in McLaurin.
Yeah.
I think they need a big body guy. Their defense is very solid. But, again, you can lose games 17-13. Denver did it all year last year.
Can I ask you a question? How many games did the Colts win last year?
9.
9. Okay. And the over and under for Washington is what?
7.5.
Yeah. The only issue I have with this is the division itself. I don't think the division is that great. I think the Giants stink. I think the Eagles are probably overrated, and I think Dallas is overrated too. I don't think it's a great division. So they can get some sneaky wins maybe, but yeah, this is not it's Carson Wentz, dude. You're betting against Carson Wentz. I mean, that's in the end that's what you're doing. And I can't blame you. 7.5 is low because that means you're predicting them to go 7-10 at best. 7-10. That's not a great season. Hey, they go 7-10. Is Ron Rivera on the hot seat?
Yes,
probably, right?
He brought him in too.
He did. Was that? You think he had a lot of input on that one? That was his call. Had some significant say.
Well, yeah, because I think if he really put his foot down, he's a Super Bowl game coach, and
yeah.
He's got a lot of gravitas in this league. He was a player, assistant coach, head coach. Listen, I'd rather ride with Tyler Heineke and let's see where we go.
You know the one thing that keeps popping up on Bleacher Report? Sam Howell is having a great preseason. One of the guys that I talked about for Washington.
But then you grew a little sour on him when the draft was coming around, didn't you?
No, not so much. Everybody else did. I mean, he didn't go to like the 4th or 5th round, so everybody else did. Listen, what I said was I think he's a more quiet Baker Mayfield.
Yeah,
he's a little.
That's right. And you didn't love Baker at the time.
I don't like Baker. Yeah. But Sam Howell doesn't chirp like Baker does, and now Baker's not chirping. So, I'm gonna keep this along the lines of you. I'm gonna stay pot committed as well here. And I'm going to roll under 9.5 wins for the New England Patriots. We've been saying for months now, we just can't really figure out what the hell's going on over there.
What's the number, Pete?
9.5. I think that's incredibly high. This is a team
I
who
saw
won.
8.5.
I got 9.5.
All right, well, we have
thrilled.
different.
Well, I don't know.
situations.
You got a bookie in New York there's giving you squirrely numbers. I don't know. Nunzio is working the books a little bit there. He doesn't like the Patriots either. If it was 8.5, I would still take it. I think the rest of the division is improved. I think the Jets are improved. How much? I don't know. What if it's just 2 games? Then those wins have to come from somebody. And I think Miami has definitely improved. How much? Maybe 2 games. That's 4 games between those 2 teams. And those wins have to come from somewhere. And I think they come from the New England Patriots. Mac Jones has pretty much acknowledged that he's having trouble picking up the offense. And it's not because he's not smart enough. We know he's a really smart dude because he picked up the offense from McDaniels, no problem last year. You got 2 guys calling plays simultaneously for this team. You got Judge and Patricia, neither of who are offensive-minded guys calling offensive plays. It's almost like you said before, like one of the Kraft sons butt-fucked Belichick's daughter if he has one. And now he's going to getting payback. I will ruin this program and drive it right into the ground. I don't get it. I don't know what they're doing. I'll split the baby here and say 9 instead of 9.5. I'll gladly take the under on that one because I just don't get it. And I think the rest of the AFC is tough. The rest of the division got better. I just don't see how they're a half a game better than they were last year when they were really struggling at the end of the season last year. You lose your offensive coordinator. It's just bizarre. And you lose half your offensive staff because McDaniel took most of those guys with him anyway.
Right.
I don't see them being better offensively. They have no weapons to speak of any significance. Aguilar, they might even cut him. And this was one of the guys that they were crowing about that they signed last year. So I'll take under 9, 9.5, 8.5. I fucking might take under 7.5, I'll be honest with you. So give me under whatever fucking number you get, New England Patriots.
All right. The St. Jude Championship last week, the first round of the FedEx Championship.
What a beautiful course, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was one of the things, before you really get into it, one of the things that was so fun is that it had super soft sand in the sand traps. So you were seeing these guys kind of get lies that me and you might be used to getting sometimes, like buried balls and shit like that. And it was kind of tough. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Continue.
I don't know. I'm never in the sand. I don't know what you're talking about.
No. Fairways only.
Will Zalatoris, first win on the
Winter
tour.
rules.
He has been hanging around, alligator blood. He's been hanging around for a long time now.
Where have I heard guys crowing about Will Zalatoris? Oh, wait. We have been for over a year now.
Yep.
Think of the guys that we talked about when this season started almost a year ago, basically in the fall last year.
Zalatoris, Cam Smith.
Thank you.
Yep.
And who were the top 3 players all year? We talked about it then, so we're not even saying we had a feeling. No, you could go back, and you should go back and play it because it's a podcast and you can do that. You can go back and listen. These were the 3 guys. These were 3 guys that we were talking about last fall and last winter before the main season really got going. Will Zalatoris, Cam Smith, and Sky Scheffler, we told you. I can't even think of anybody else that we really were talking about other than the big guy, the main guys and some LIV shit. These were 3 guys that were these are 3 young guys that we just see kind of eye of the tiger feeling going on there.
That's a pat on your back moment. I got to give you that.
They all proved us to be right.
You know what's funny about this win too for him? It was his first tournament with a new caddy.
Interesting, right?
Yeah.
Because he kind of fired his caddy in midweek last week.
Mid-round. So, mid-tournament, I think, right?
So, no, absolutely. I wonder if that plays in his head I wish maybe I should have made this change earlier. I don't know. But regardless, I'm sure he's not worried about it because this is where he is now. And he's great. He is a grinder, man. He does hit the ball. Fantastic. Great iron shots. But he's a grinder, and he's got his putting down now. Whatever changes he's made, he has become a very good putter. And we've been saying if he gets that part of his game intact, look out because he's a great ball striker.
He won in a playoff, and the playoff was absolutely electrifying.
Insane.
Bad shot, then recovered by a great shot, and then out of bounds, and then almost out of bounds, and then late the drop shot.
Yeah,
crazy.
what was it, the 18th hole where they both were like either out of bounds or almost out of bounds, and then they
On
end up
either
like
side,
both like
yeah.
parring the hole.
Oh my god!
And then what
They
hole
go to-
did they go back to? It's
They
almost
go
like
to
an
par
island.
3. I think it was what 11 or 12.
Okay. I've never seen anything like this in my life. I've never seen anything like this in my freaking life. So if you didn't see it, I'm going to try to describe this as best I can. It's not an island green, but the right side of the green, like the front and the whole right side, is butt up against the lake.
Yep.
Am I describing that correctly?
Yep.
And the edge of this island-ish type peninsular green is a rock wall. And I mean rock, not brick, like rock. So Zalatoris goes and he hits it, I don't know, maybe a 1.5 to 2 feet inside the rock. It takes one bounce off the grass. And this thing just bounces on the rock and bounces again and again and again and again and again on the rock, as it could go either left into the grass or right into the water. No, it only bounces on the freaking rock like 6 or 7 times
And
then settles up against the grass, where we're all thinking, how the hell would he even make? How did that happen? Number one.
Yeah.
And number two, what the hell is he going to do with this ball now? Right? And you're thinking he's totally screwed until what's the guy's name? Straka? Was it Seb?
Seth. Yeah, Seth.
Sep Straka comes up. He lands his ball almost exactly where Will Zalatoris landed his in the grass. His also took a right hop towards the rocks. It hits the rocks, but then immediately goes in the water. And you're like, holy shit, he's totally screwed. So he has to take a shot from the drop area, the drop zone, and he puts it in the sand. He's still far, and he puts it on the green from there. So now he's putting for 5. And I think that changed everything. The fact that he was still far in the sand and had to shoot again made it a very different decision for Zalatoris, because at this point, Zalatoris takes an unplayable lie. He goes back to the drop zone, and he's thinking, worst case scenario, I get on the green, I 2-putt for a 5, and I tie the hole. Best case scenario, on 1 putt, and I'm in. Or he Sepp Straka misses his putt, and I 2-putt, and I still win. So either way, I'm not going to lose. I'm probably not going to lose. So that's what he ends up doing. He takes a drop, takes an unplayable lie, goes back to the drop zone, and he puts a beautiful shot on there. 1-putts it for the win. Incredible.
Yep.
The only thing that sucked about that is I would have liked to have seen him take that shot. Like, I almost wish, like, after the round, we went back out there, we gave him like $50,000 and say, all right, for show, what would you do? What could you do?
I think Dan Hicks said it in the broadcast. Everyone that's going to play her tomorrow is going to attempt that shot.
Yes, because if you didn't see it, you have to understand the rock wall was actually below the grass line. So you can actually think of like your sidewalk. If you edge your sidewalk with like a weed whacker, you can see some of the soil. So imagine like the ball was more even with the soil line than it was with the grass. So the thinking was, if he tries to hit this ball straight towards the green, it's just going to hit the soil line and probably bounce backwards and go into the water.
Or he hits his club on the rock, and then you're in a whole different nightmare there.
And so I'm even looking like there was a sand trap that would have been like on a 45-degree angle to his left. And I'm thinking maybe he's better off just hitting it into the sand trap, because at least I said, as long as he doesn't go in the water, he's going to win the hole. As long as but there was no way of knowing that if he hit the ball, it wasn't going to go in the water. That was what was so
right.
It was just insane, dude. It was really intense for like 20 minutes. It was like this 20 minutes of intensity. And that's not even including, like you said, the previous playoff holes, which were also friggin' ridiculous. Bad shots followed by great putting. It was a really fun round. It was a really fun round to watch. And he moves up to number 1 in the FedEx points. Just like that. So pretty cool stuff. It was a lot of fun. So this week is what? What is this week's? Do you know?
I don't know.
What tournament we got this week? And it'll be interesting because There was a meeting that went on today that Tiger Woods was even part of, and all the big names were part of, because they're trying to figure out what's the best way to handle
BMW Championship
BMW
in Delaware. Yeah.
in Delaware. Okay. Big meeting that went on today. We don't know. We don't have any updates for you just yet. We'll probably have a little something to say on it next week. But it was an important enough meeting that Tiger Woods showed up to give his opinion. Ricky Fowler was a little vocal this week, saying that, hey, you know what? Maybe the PGA didn't handle this LIV thing as well as they could have. They should have had a little bit more foresight. I think we're going to come to some resolution at some point, whether it's now or sometime during the off season. You're going to have to let these guys play, because you're almost losing prestige when you have so many recent major championship winners not at these majors and not at tournaments. These wins are looking a little empty.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you won, but there was no Koepka, there was no this one, that one, the other one, no Bubba, no Phil. Like, all these guys aren't there. So, we'll see what comes to that meeting, but I'm fascinated. I've been fascinated by this thing the whole time, because I'm a free market enterprise guy, and I believe there's absolutely no justifiable reason to me that you can't play both. As long as, if you're a PGA Tour player, you have to meet a certain criteria of tournaments throughout the year. At max, there's 14 LIV tournaments. There's no way. There's 45 PGA tournaments. There's no way you can't meet the quota. So,
well, we've beaten this thing to a fucking dead horse at this point. Let's see what
that meeting comes up. But I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged that they're having a meeting, and it's a players meeting mainly to say, hey, because in the end, the PGA Tour and the PGA whatever group leaders can say what they want, but it's about the players. And if the players can say, hey, let's come up with some resolution that, like, similar to what we've talked about, of saying there's a minimum number of tournaments you have to play in to keep your card, I don't see anything wrong with that. And I think that'd be a good thing. And that's a win-win for everybody.
Yep.
Everybody wins. Guys can go play LIV and make their money, and they can still play PGA. And then the PGA Tour gets their big players back for most of the time, and you have all your big names at the major tournaments.
At least more big names than you would have now.
At the major tournaments, for sure. Yeah, I mean, if guys don't want to play in those things, then that's their business.
Yeah, but at least you have the opportunity to.
Absolutely. So, real quick, I just want to ask you, you started like a mini kind of sub-rant last week with the Yankees. Things haven't really gotten any better. You starting to get nervous?
Well, I'm nervous the way they're playing. It's crazy they haven't lost the game in the standing, which is fucking bananas. The Blue Jays were just as cold as we are.
I know.
So that's the only thing that's keeping me from going bananas on this. But, yeah, I mean.
But as Yogi Berra would say, it's getting late real early.
Yeah, but it's also getting later for the other teams that are taking games back, too.
But you got to win. I mean, you don't want to go into the playoffs limping.
Well, they got a lot of guys banged up. They brought 2 guys up for the minors today, and then the guy that should have been up here never should have went down, and Marinaccio, the reliever, anyway. So, we'll see if that sparks this. It's done. It's happened before. It happened with the Mets in '86. It happened with the Yankees in '98 with Shane Spencer. So I like that they called him up. They put him right in the lineup tonight. So it can't be any worse than Donaldson Hicks, out after out after out, error after error after error. And let's get some young blood, run some bases, do a little small ball. Let's shake it up a little bit.
Absolutely. By the way, for those of you who care, LeBron James just signed a 2-year extension with the Lakers, $97.1 million over 2 years. As an investment, it's a no-brainer because he brings in so much money. He brings in so many eyes. He's just a walking commercial for sure. But are they a championship team with LeBron James at this point in his career? I don't think so. So whatever. It's an investment. It's not about winning basketball games or winning a championship. So, but just to throw that out there. 76 in the book, my man.
76. I got 4 for you. Number 4, Super Bowl 20 champion, 2-time All-Pro, 2-time Pro Bowler. And unfortunately, he's going to a battle, I think, with ALS now, is Chicago Bear defensive tackle Steve McMichael. Number 3.
Great pro wrestler, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
He did some pro wrestling stuff when he retired from football.
Number 3, one of your ex-friends, Super Bowl 25 champion, Pro Bowler, Michigan All-American, former Giant and Jet offensive tackle Jumbo Elliott.
He was a friend of mine, yeah. Good guy. A lot of
Number
barbecues.
2, Super Bowl 34 champ, 3-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowler, 2000 All-Decade, NCAA and Hall of Fame Ram tackle Orlando Pace. Number 1, 5-time All-Pro, 7-time Pro Bowl, 2000 All-Decade, Seattle and Viking Hall of Fame guard Steve Hutchinson.
Very good. Scotty, I have 2 questions for you because I got some news here.
Yes and no.
I have 2 questions for you. Do you like ice cream?
Why the what? Dude, I swear to God, that's what I thought you were going to ask me that. When you said, do you like, I was like, he's going to say ice cream.
Do you
That's
like ice
weird.
cream?
I do.
Do you like bars?
Like
a
drinking
bar,
wa-
like going out to a bar
like
with
watering
your
holes?
friends? Yeah, watering hole.
I
Yeah.
do. Yeah.
What if I told you?
Did 1 or 2.
What if I told you there's a new option out there where you can have both?
I don't like mixing ice cream with booze.
Miller High Life introduces ice cream that tastes like what? It tastes
Beer.
like a dive bar. I don't know how you make it taste like a dive bar. New novelty ice cream product is actually meant to recall the flavor of peanut shells on a bar floor. Miller
What?
High Life has partnered with Tipsy Scoop, maker of alcohol-infused ice cream, to create the ice cream dive bar. The product combines beer, peanut swirl, tobacco smoke flavor, caramel, and dark chocolate dip. The peanut swirl is designed to mimic the peanut shells frequently found on bar floors. So now you can have your drink and eat it too. There's ice cream, there's booze, there's beer, there's
Peanuts.
peanut flavors, there's even smoke and tobacco. I don't know. Do you think this is a winner?
No.
By the way, I got a price for you. A 6-pack. Guess the price for a 6-pack of the, what are they called again? The dive bar, the ice cream dive bar, a 6-pack.
$17.
Double that, $36 for a 6-pack of dive bar ice cream sticks. So, what do you think of that? Would you give it a shot if you didn't have to pay for it? Would you at least try it?
Nah.
I'd try it. I don't know if I like it. I mean, I like cigars. I like bars. I like peanuts. I like ice cream.
Let me know how it goes.
I'll give it a shot. Well, somebody's going to have to give me one. Hey, if you want to give us if you want to show your love to the show, send us what do you call it? Like a gift card to Tipsy Scoop for $36, and we'll get it. We'll do a taste test. Maybe we'll do a live taste test right here on the podcast. What do you think about that?
You're still not feeling good.
For Scott Bracey, I'm Pete Colasano. You've been listening to Bump and Run. We'll catch you guys next week.
Later.
Oh, yeah. What time is it? Are we a little late?
Yeah, a little late.
You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Goodbye.
All right, later.